Hello guys and welcome back, and it's great to be with you. And here we've got another really exciting interview, and I have to say, when I read our next guest story, I was just blown away by the impact on her life as a result of the mentoring she's received. And so it was with no hesitation at all that we chose to get her involved with today. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome Jodie Marshall.
Thank you.
Well, do you want to start off just by introducing yourself and telling everyone a bit about, and I know you do lots of things, but a bit about what you do?
Yes, so I'm Jodie Marshall, and I run a social enterprise that is performing arts based in Sheffield, and we are currently market leaders within what we do in South Yorkshire actually, and so I do that. And I am also a consultant, coach and mentor myself as well. So I do lots of that and get the pleasure of working with individuals and helping them and supporting them with their businesses and third sector organisations.
Excellent. And that's all as a result of the mentoring that you've received yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I do a lot of, so I'm currently working on a mentoring programme with South Yorkshire where I'm giving 3 hours of mentoring as well. So kind of I'm giving back in my mentoring too.
Wow. Absolutely inspirational. Well, let's start off. Tell us what mentoring means to you.
Okay, so mentoring, if I could sum it up, I would say it's a journey. It's journeying with somebody else, and somebody else journeying with you. It's definitely a two-way relationship, and I would say more so than coaching is. So I think you both get stuff out of it, both the mentor and the mentee. But it's about, the key for me is it's about having somebody to journey with you that's maybe been there before, or that's maybe got the knowledge that you haven't quite got yet. And also just somebody that you can kind of cry on and stress on and lean on, and not just get their support, but kind of get their networks and get their business support as well as their personal support.
Excellent. Thank you. And I suspect that this is going to be quite a biggie for you. But tell us about a particular mentor that's influenced you.
Okay, so a woman called Faith Smith, who runs an organisation in Sheffield called Keep Your Fork, and it's a PR and marketing company. She's just pretty incredible, generally, really. And I actually came to know Faith through church. I did a church course when I was a lot younger, kind of in my early 20s. And I remember them saying, we want to pair you with like a mentor. And I kind of went, right, well, if you're going to do that in my stubborn ways, this is what I want, and listed everything I wanted in a mentor. And they produced Faye. Woman. And she's been my mentor ever since, and she's now a very good friend of mine, and I still go to her for things, less so these days, but still she's there. She still advises me, she still supports me, she still connects me, and having another female in business that was working in the same city as me was absolutely massive, and having somebody that understood my passion, because what she does is she's also in the creative sector in the PR and marketing side, and also just understood everything that I stood for, really, including my faith, which for me was an important one as well.
Gosh. And so how involved was she in supporting you to set up your business?
So I think when I met Faye, I just started the business. So I think I was probably about a year or so into it, I think. And she was supportive in that she would get me to events. So she was a real key for me, in telling me the good places to network and kind of what she thought would be helpful to me. And I think when you start out, there's a real tendency to just go, I'm going to go to everything because everybody needs to know about me. But actually, once you've been in it a while, you realise that not everything is beneficial for you. And the busier you get, the more your time is easier to waste almost. So for me, Faye was really good in the early stages for supporting me in that, and kind of getting me to events, managing to get me to speak at events as well, so that my name was up there quite quickly, getting me onto local media. I'm a regular on the local BBC Radio Sheffield. I'm a regular in the local newspaper, as is my company. So just kind of connecting me with the people I needed to connect with in order to launch my business out there, really. And obviously being a performing arts business, being in the media is actually really big. It's a big thing. And it's done wonders. And also, you know, feeding me. That was a really important one for me, because when you start, you've got to, often, you know, your skin a lot of the time. And I was single, so I was living on my own and just kind of getting on with life. So actually having somebody who was like, come around for food and I'll feed you and we'll have a chat and we'll sort you out. So that was really helpful as well, practically. She's a very practical woman, and that's what I needed.
And I imagine, listening to you, that the fact that she'd been there and done that and could show you the bits that you needed to do was so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but she has been through some pretty difficult and tough personal circumstances as well, which actually those words don't even do justice what she's been through. So for myself, there was a period about 6 years ago or so where I was in an abusive relationship, and actually it was looking at Faye and the women around me like her, and seeing everything that they'd gone through and were really kind of battling for their businesses, but also for their families and for their lives, that really helped me to pull through that, really. So there was a real influence and benefit in my personal life, which kind of, for anybody that is an entrepreneur or that runs businesses, they will tell you the two collide far more than what you like to pretend they do. So that also was really important for me, to have that role model there of somebody that, you know, was going through stuff at the time as well herself, but she was still there for me and for lots of other young women in business.
Definitely. And it's so, I mean, just listening to you, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is so amazing. In terms of, obviously you've spoken about how she kind of led you. Do you want to share also a bit about how she helped to empower you and give you that independence?
Yeah, so she is a no, am I allowed to say this? She is a no BS person.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Is that allowed? Which for me, I find empowering, because I'm like that, and the young girls that I mentor in my organisation and the staff that I mentor in my own organisation, they will say the same about me, that kind of I don't put up with the rubbish. It's, you know, this is how it is and let's get on with it. And she's very much like that, and not in a way that she doesn't deal with her emotions or things like that, but in a way that, you know, she's just like, well, this is how it is, I'm feeling rubbish, that is how it is, tomorrow's a new day, let's start again. So you know, in that way, she was really supportive with stuff like that. And she would kind of, if you hadn't done it, the next time you'd see her, she'd kind of be like, do this, do that, do this, do that. So you'd kind of just do it, because otherwise she'd just be like, do it. And so kind of holding me accountable to things was really important. And it just, I mean, I'm quite a doer anyway. I get on and do it. But just having somebody there to push me that extra little bit. And kind of when you lose the will a little bit, and when you become a bit, oh, like, is it going to happen? Like, am I going to achieve what I want? Like, she would just put practical things there that I needed to do, and she'd help me to refine that vision a little bit, which I think sometimes you can lose.
Which is so important and so important. And do you want to sort of I suppose to help us to understand the impact? Do you want to tell us a bit about what A Mind Apart does and the impact it's then had?
Yeah, so A Mind Apart is a performing arts organisation, and we have various different services, but we specialise in working with young people not in education. So that's some of the toughest kids in the kind of cities, basically. So I've just been watching Professor Green's Living in Poverty. Those are the kids that we're working with, you know, the kids that are in severe poverty and vulnerabilities. And we do a lot of work with young girls that have been sexually exploited as well, which is a big thing for us. And so that's kind of the day stuff we do, and we use performing arts to develop them as individuals, support them in their education, get them back on track, and encourage them to dream and have hope, because a lot of the time they're failing in education because they've been told they can't do it, or they've not succeeded in the school environment because it doesn't cater for all kids. So just giving them a space where they can achieve something, achieve a creative qualification, be creative, because the schools are slowly knocking that out of children. So that's kind of the day stuff that we do, and we do that with primary and secondary school kids. And then for the rest of the time, we have after school clubs and evening classes and holiday clubs, and we do professional training and corporate training around team building and things like that. But our main purpose is to make performing arts accessible and to give children a space where they can be creative. If they want to go into performing arts, they can go into it. We've had kids go, you know, get into top drama schools in the country. But if they don't want to go into it, that's okay as well. And it's just a space for them to develop themselves and be allowed to be who they want to be. One of the things we did off the back of our work last year, which was the first time we'd done it, was an alternative prom. So we put on a prom and we got lots of professionals in the industry to come and perform. We had a magician there, we had people singing, lots of professionals that we're connected with, freelancers that work for us, and they came and they did different things for the kids. And the idea was that the prom was for children kind of year 10 and 11 that weren't going to be able to go to their school prom because either they'd not been in school, so they didn't know anybody, or they couldn't afford a ball gown or a ticket, or they'd got some form of disability. And they could turn up how they wanted. So we had kids turn up in tracksuit bottoms, kids turn up in ball gowns, and then we had one kid that came and decided he was going to dress as a woman. And for me that was really important, because it was a realization that I've created something where from ages 5 right up through to adults, people feel that they can belong with us and belong in it, which I think in our society is really hard for a young person to feel. And if they're different, it's really hard for them to find somewhere to belong. So that really made me realize actually how kind of the impact that we're having and what we've actually created.
And that's huge. And that's huge. And I'm sure, you know, based on, you know, and listening to your story, listening to the power of mentoring, you know, this is the real outcome.
Absolutely. And my whole business, my whole organisation is based on coaching and mentoring. So we mentor the kids. My staff have been trained by me to mentor and coach. The way that I manage is coaching management. So I've developed a whole form of management that's based around coaching. So I don't do any micromanaging with my staff. And actually the effects that has, that kind of drip feeds down into our students and into the community, it's huge. And I find that I get so much out of my staff, far more than I could ever ask for them to give. And it releases me to be able to do other things and develop the company and, you know, be away and expand it and do, you know, mentor other people. So yeah, coaching and mentoring both have had a massive impact on me, and a lot of that mentoring and understanding about it has come from Faye and from experiencing it myself.
Wow. So when you are mentoring, are there any common themes that you see? Common themes?
Just generally, or kind of with all the different people I'm mentoring, you mean?
Well, I mean both really. So start with general, and then we'll work down to the young people. You know.
Okay, so I would say for those that I'm mentoring that are kind of starting up businesses, I would say that common themes tend to be around the practicalities of starting it up. So often you'll find that, especially with artists, because I do a lot of mentoring with artists.
Yeah.
They want to do the art, they want to do the creative stuff, they want to do whatever it is they're proposing. And people normally develop a business because they're passionate about something. It's not necessarily that they're passionate about a business. So then actually the business side of it, they kind of go, how do I do this? You know, I just want to go and create videos for people, or I just want to go and do whatever for people. And the actual business side of it and the administrative side and the management side, they often don't have that skill unless they've done a degree in business management.
Yeah.
So for me, that's often a common theme that, you know, kind of they're saying, well, how do I do a business plan? Does it have to be this many pages? Can't it just be 2 pages? And also the understanding that actually how you do that, like things like the business plan and, you know, the stuff that you might present to the bank, you can be creative around that. It doesn't have to be a heavy document that's 20, 30, 40 pages. You know, if you want a 2-page document and a video to go with it, then do that. If that's what your business is about, that's what the banks and the funders and, you know, shareholders want to see. So just kind of encouraging them to use whatever it is that's in their business and also put that into the business side of it, like I did, I guess, with the management of the coaching management and the mentor management. So that's quite a common theme. Yeah, I would say the practicalities and the networking as well. So often, how do I get those contacts? And as an individual, as I've mentored more and more, I've started to realise, A, how much I now know compared to 10 years ago when I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just blagging everything, you know. And B, how many contacts I've actually got that, you know, if you build these contacts, you use the contacts that you need when you need them. But actually, when you're then working with somebody else, I kind of end up going, oh, I can give you and this one, and that one, you know. And before I know it, I've given them a list of connections to help them network in the city. So there's good realization, self-realization in there as well as you're going through that process.
Tell us more about self-realization.
Well, I am a performing artist at heart. That's what I trained in first. So we're always taught to reflect and to self-evaluate everything. Nothing's ever perfect. So I guess for me, when I am mentoring, when I'm being mentored, they're often pulling that self-realization out of me. So whoever's mentoring me at that time is often kind of getting me to realize certain things, or maybe I realize I've got a hole in my knowledge that I need to sort out. And then on the other side, when you're mentoring, it kind of goes the opposite way. So I would say that it's often a more positive realization that you kind of go, oh, I do have stuff to give back actually. Because I think when you're being mentored, you're looking at your gaps. But when you're mentoring, you're passing on your strengths. So I think it's a different sort of realization of, oh, actually, I do know what I'm doing. I have got some experience in this. And I can kind of be okay with that and be proud of that. Especially when you've been doing it for so long as well, I think, like in the business for so long. There's a lot of things that you just carry with you that other people go, oh, that's amazing. You go, I just built it. What? So the realization of that stuff, really.
Absolutely, it's so true. It's so true, and it's one of the things that, because obviously, you know, when we're doing any kind of mentoring training, but it's one of the things that we go through is reflection is absolutely paramount part of being a mentor. It's one of the basic qualities that you need. You need to be able to reflect and to self-improve, even as you're going through a session. You know, to be able to think, actually, this isn't the right way, or actually I should be doing it this way as you're going through life. It's so important that I
think it's really important as well for a mentor to know when they've given everything that they can give to that individual.
Yeah.
Because you might not. I've just been very lucky in that I found a mentor that, you know, I've journeyed with for a very long time.
Yeah.
But that's quite unusual.
Mm.
And it's, you know, it's very normal to go through several mentors, and I've got other mentors as well. You know, I've got mentors that I've had from when I worked in sexual health that still support me now, and lots of other mentors in different areas. So I think as a mentor, it's really important to know, actually, I've given everything I can give this individual, and they've almost surpassed me now, and I need to release them to go and be even better. And maybe somebody else can support them.
Thank you, and that's such a valid point that's so often overlooked. You know, that there isn't, you know, when you're going through mentoring, then there isn't a problem with actually, you know, looking at who your next mentor is going to be, because it's part and parcel of scaling up. When I think back to when I started my business, the people who I'm still in contact with, but the people who mentored me at that point are certainly not people who would be appropriate to be mentoring us as an international company now. And it's all about that experience, because a mentor has to walk the walk.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well, in the current kind of situation we have with things like coaching and mentoring, because they're more and more popular, and everybody's a mentor and everybody's a coach. So it's kind of this thing of, as people are charging for these things, and I think it's fine to choose a mentor and be willing to pay that mentor. But as people are charging, I think it's really important to be aware of that when you're being mentored, because if that mentor is convincing I've got more to give you, and you're sat going, I don't think you can give me anything else, I think you've got to be confident enough as a mentee to say, no, that's it. I've given you, you've given me all I can get from you. I want of somebody else. So I think that's really important to remember as more and more people start to charge for, this sort of kind of relationship.
Absolutely. And in terms of, so moving it on now, in terms of the young people you work with, what sort of themes do you see crop up with them?
So with the young people, it's more life stuff.
Okay.
So family issues, kind of supporting them in, I guess I think sometimes with young people it's harder, because you're mentoring somebody through a situation that often they can't do anything about. So, if you're working with a kid that lives in severe poverty and they're 14 years old, and they are living with parents, but parents are in severe poverty, can't afford food, can't afford the bus fare to get them to school, but want them to be there, and lots of other issues around that. And then you're mentoring a 14-year kid, to an 18, 19, 20-year-old, you can say, maybe you need to think about living on your own, looking for a job. You can't say that to a 14-year-old. How do you mentor a 14-year-old through that? So I think for us, it's more about mentoring them through their behaviour.
Yeah, okay.
We can't change their circumstances. We can fight for their circumstances. We can, be a voice for them, and we can encourage them to be a voice. But what really we need to be doing is helping them to change their behaviours and their reactions. So that's often what we mentor them through. Okay, how should have that gone? How would you have preferred that to gone? What could you change? What can you not change? And also helping them to see that sometimes it's not their fault, because a lot of them carry guilt. So, helping them to see that if they've had to go out and, I don't know, out of the house because there's nowhere for them to be in the house because they live in a 2-bedroom house and 6 people live there or whatever. So they're out on the streets and they're getting done by the police. It's kind of like helping them to see, okay, well, what can we do with you to help get you off the street? What services can we connect you with? What's an ideal situation for you, and where have you got the choice in that, and where haven't you got the choice? Because sometimes that's confusing for them. Sometimes they think they've got choice where they haven't, and they think they haven't where they have. So I think it's tougher to mentor kind of those sorts of kids that we're working with.
Absolutely, and this is because again, one of the things that we do is we work with people, supporting young people to train them how to mentor them. It's one of the things that we discuss is that actually you can only, as a mentor, you can only deal with what they bring. You can't have your agenda for your mentoring. It's actually what that person brings to that session at that moment in time. And yes, as you rightly say, sometimes that's going to involve you then agreeing with your mentee that you're going to advocate for them. But actually, lots of the time, it's about helping them to explore whatever that block is, whatever that barrier is, and giving them the options of what they can do to move themselves forward, if they can, and giving them coping strategies, and different options. But ultimately, it's down to them, isn't it? It's down to them to move forward, and that's a really key thing, isn't it, with mentoring, particularly with young people, is that boundary. This is where I have to stop. This is where I can't do it anymore. It's yours. And
also within that, the ownership. So helping them to understand that they have ownership of that relationship with you, but also that kind of whatever's going on with them. Once they realise that there's an ownership element to it, they can then take ownership of it. And that's a huge deal, because in today's society, young people do not feel like they own anything. And there's, even when they look at, so even when, you know, the 15-year-olds are looking at the 20-year-olds and the 20-year-olds are looking at the 30-year-olds, there's no hope there, because right now a 30-year-old struggles to get on the property ladder.
Yes.
So where's the hope for that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
What are we teaching them? And why would they feel like they've got ownership? Because they're getting told that they might even never have a pension and might even never own a house. So it's just about giving them something that they can own, and what they can own is their choices. Yeah. What they can own is that moment that they're in. Yeah. And then from that develops vision and dreaming and, you know, wanting to be better, and sometimes physically moving out of places and into, you know, supported living or wherever.
Absolutely. Gosh, I mean, I feel we can talk all day, but we do need to be moving towards it. So let's finish with the last question. What do you think the future of mentoring is?
I think there's quite a big future in it. I think that more and more people are taking hold of it. More and more people are wanting to be mentored. I worry that as more people take hold of it, and this is the same, I have the same worries with coaching and consultancy as well. As more people take hold of it, it starts to be abused. So, you know, that's kind of commercially or financially. So I worry about that, because I think a good mentor wants to journey with you no matter what. And they're not necessarily looking at the financial gain. So I think where somebody is really, really driven by that financial gain, you know, we all need to live, we all need to put food on our tables. Where somebody's really driven by that, that concerns me. And when we're also charging ridiculous amounts for it, I think it should be accessible to everybody. I accept that it's not sustainable. I work in the third sector, I know this. It's not sustainable for everything to be free, but it needs to be affordable. You know, it doesn't need to be thousands of pounds and executive focus. So I guess that's my worry with it. But I think that it's going to become more and more popular, and I think it's going to be a more and more successful way of supporting other business people. I think it's something that the government needs to get hold of, because I think this is how we can really breed good entrepreneurs and good businesses in the UK. And I think in the current climate, we really need to be focusing on doing that right now. So I hope that it's got a really good future, and that the government grabs hold of it a little bit more than they are doing.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. What a wide-ranging interview, I have to say. Gosh, I'm sure we've certainly explored lots of different aspects of mentoring, and also the power of receiving mentoring. Jodie, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's been an absolute delight. Certainly, I've been sat here just lapping it all in, and just thinking about my own mentoring practice, and thinking about some of the things we do, and just thinking, wow, you know, some of the stuff you do would be so transferable. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you very shortly for the next interview. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cheers.